friends, it's me, Diana Paquet. I'm here to talk to you today about getting that happy vibe, getting that juiciness, feeling that sparkle on a daily basis, and how you can do it, and some tips that really can elevate your day. I guess one of the reasons that I decided that I would make this is because I get asked on a regular basis. I don't drink anymore. Took the option to not drink about 1.5 years ago. My husband has not been drinking for about 3 years. We both basically stopped drinking for the same reasons. We just feel better when we're not drinking. And for health purposes, we had a late in life baby. Both of us have memory issues in people that are older than us. And it just seems like the best thing that we can do for our brain. So we just chose not to. However, we still want to be social. We still want to go out. We still want to have a good time. We don't want to be like grumpy, stick in the mud, all that kind of stuff. So he just is like naturally sort of like a vibrant person. I go out of my way every day to try to bring the joy and get myself pumped up and be fun, because there are so many things in life that take out of that joy bank account, right? It's like whether it's someone's a bad driver, or the parking garage attendant is grumpy, or you end up running over something and you have a flat tire. There's things every day that happen that we expect and things that we don't expect. Maybe we live with someone who's negative. I have one of my kids right now who's in a very negative Nelly kind of a thing. And it gets old. It's hard to be around people like that all the time. Maybe you're married to somebody like that. But there is a way, and I feel like I am able to feel like I'm at least trying to take control when I do these few things to make my day more joyful. All right, so getting in that happy vibe, getting that juiciness. The first thing that I'm always trying to do, I'm always remember to do, I'm always going to feel like I'm going to have a way better day, is compliment people. If I'm in a public bathroom, washing my hands, I see someone in the mirror, I'll compliment their hair. I'll compliment an older lady's shawl as she's walking down the street and we're passing. It takes nothing to compliment someone. Or if you see them doing something nice at Target, just say, "That was so nice of you. How kind of you." Pointing out the great things about other people makes them happy. And when you see someone else's eyes light up because of something that you were able to say, it's huge. So that's a habit that I try to cultivate every day. Am I perfect at it? No way. Do I forget? Yes, I definitely do. And it's not always easy, but it definitely is worthwhile. And it kind of dials up your happiness just a little bit, right? All right. Practicing politeness and letting shit. If you have someone that passes you and they're speeding in a truck, the first thing, because we just had one of our daughters had a horrible car accident about 1 year ago, horrible. And I'm sure that she's fine, but I'm sure we drove like a crazy person to get there. It was terrifying. So I always think to myself, oh my gosh, I hope that they don't have a child or a loved one on the side of the road that they're worried about. I hope they're just an asshole. But I don't, if you end up and you're with someone and you're they're racing you to get to the red light, meh. Who has time to give their mental your time is precious. Your time needs to be spent on joyful things. Your time needs to be spent on exciting things, on daydreaming about what you're going to be like in 1 year from now. Your time doesn't need to be spent on somebody who's driving like a butthole. It's not your business. Stay out of it. Practicing politeness. So whether it's someone who is a customer of yours, of course, we should always be polite to customers of our own. But if you're in a Sephora or you're getting a server, being polite to those people, there is probably nothing better to do than to be kind to someone who is in a service position, and be grateful and be thankful and be overly generous with your tipping and bless them. That term blessing is always thrown around, but it's true. How can you make somebody's day better or easier? And imagine how a bigger tip, adding an extra $10 onto a tip, could really make a difference for someone. Here's one that works like a charm. Always be smiling. Now, will people always smile back at you? No. Will they make eye contact with you? No, but some people will. And it is a big joy creator. I love just smiling at people. And when someone doesn't look up, or they maybe make eye contact and they're like, well, what's going on with that lady? I know how I want to be, and I know how I want to conduct myself in the world, which is serving joy. giving joy. I'm not going to be deterred by other people who aren't, but I'll tell you what, those people that want to, the stranger that I pass on the street, let me, hey, how's your day? You know, like that's such a good thing. And I think I always imagine people want to talk to me. Why wouldn't they? I'm worthy of having a conversation, or I'm worthy of having a polite banter as we pass each other. I just want to assume that. I want to be in an assumptive place that people want to exchange with me. And that's how I think we all should be. Imagine how cool the world would be if we were all more like that. Take things that go wrong and squeeze joy out of them. I just made this whole entire podcast for you guys. It was great. I had all these great ideas. I was riffing. I was coming at you. I had all this stuff going on. I was feeling so good about it. I went to go turn it off and I realized I hadn't hit record. Okay? This is life. This is the stuff that happens all the time. We can still find joy in it. We can still laugh about it. It made for a funny story downstairs with my husband for lunch. It's okay if everything is not going exactly as expected. We can still have fun. We can still enjoy ourselves. And I think it's really important to realize, like, that's life. That's how we roll. That's the ups and downs in life are a large part of what the beauty in life is, because you never know by not pressing record. Maybe this episode is even better. I'm getting the chance to do it again. I'm getting a chance to make it better for you guys. So think about it in that way. Just because something doesn't go right, I'll tell you a perfect example. I was working at a hair show and I met this older couple, adorable, and she was buying a hairpiece and he was there and he wanted to film her getting this hairpiece. And we're talking, and I always like to pull stories out of people. It's my journalism background. It's one of the things I love to do is interview people and get their stories down. And so I'm like, well, how did you two meet? And they tell this story. And basically, she's very petite, little, small, older lady, like maybe in her 80s. And she is in the Costco gas line. And her car stops. Of course, she can't push it. She's by herself. No one can help her. There's no one out there in the Costco line. And she's blocking up traffic. And this big, older guy, handsome guy, comes up. And he's like, hey, what's going on? She's like, I don't know. My car won't start. And I can't figure out what's going on. And he plays around. He's like, it's your battery. And he's like, and once the battery goes down in this kind of car, you're not going to be able to get it fired back up again until you get a battery. So let me get some of these guys. So he starts getting all these guys and he pushes it over. He goes in and he pays for her battery and sits there with her groceries until it all gets installed. And doesn't ask for her number, but finds out where she works. She owns a design firm. This is in another state, so I can totally tell you guys the story. So she's like, he was so nice, and I was so grateful. I was just blown away by his kindness. The next day, he has flowers delivered to her and said, I didn't want to overwhelm you. I knew you were having a bad day, but if you'd ever like to go to lunch, my name is blah, 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 and gives his phone number. And that's how they met, and that's how they got married. And that's how they're going to live out the rest of their lives with each other is two people who know how to be kind, who know how to be loving. He didn't have to pay for her battery. He didn't even have to turn around and be like, hey lady, what's going on? He could just take his, the gas nozzle, put it back on the thing and get out of there. So be that kind of person that can show up for other people. You never know what could come of it. I mean, isn't that such a beautiful story? I love that. So basically, in short, I really believe that there's opportunities all day long to spread joy, to send a text to a girlfriend. You can have on your list, send 3 texts a day to your friends that are meaningful, check in on people, be there for people. There are things that you can do all day long. I have a reminder, two reminders on I have like a dozen reminders on my reminder list, like take your vitamins, have you taken your colostrum, all that kind of stuff, like my supplements. Have you connected with your big kids? Because some of them don't live here and I want to send them all a text every day and make sure that I'm trying to connect with them. I have this reminders list that really helps me a lot. But two of the things on the reminders list that really make a difference for me, one is affirming myself. So if you've ever read Mel Robbins' High Five Habit, she basically talks about putting your hand in the mirror, looking in your own eyes in the mirror and saying, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the way that you're showing up. I'm proud of the way that you're trying. I know that you're not perfect, but you're giving it your best shot. I'm proud of you staying calm today when you found out your kid was whatever your teenager was doing. Showing up for yourself, being your own biggest cheerleader. And that is huge. So I try to do that every single day. And the other thing that's on that list that really helps me a lot is doing a kind thing. It says do a kind thing. So that's fun because I can do that with Lincoln, my 7-year-old. Sometimes we have an abundance of little roses in the front yard and we'll cut little roses and put them in a mason jar and tie a ribbon on it. And she gets to walk into class and give them to this teacher that I imagine is like, look at how cool I got flowers. And that joy spreads, it lifts her up, and then she's able to lift up 24 other kids. Thinking about what kind of kind thing can you do every day, whether it's complimenting someone, whether it's like we were on the pier the other night and we found this little lady's ID and I can go take it to the police station, but I'm just going to go drop it at her house. You know, her address is on there. Like, what can you do over and above to do a kind thing? Thinking about that and embodying being that kind of person it's cool. I love being like that, if possible. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like my kids are seeing an example of someone who is willing to go the extra mile, who wants to be a good human, who wants to spread kindness, who wants to spread joy. So I think if you can commit, like, even if you're like, I don't even know where to start with it. This is like, I'm not into it. I'm not into this whole like positivity, switching my perspective. Commit to doing like a week of trying to just compliment people. Just little compliments, something genuine, something that you really think, oh, I love the way you did your hair. Or those sunglasses are so cool. Where'd you get those? Just small stuff. Compliment people. It can be people you know or people you don't know. And see how that kind of changes. Like once that ball gets rolling, you're like, feels so good to make other people feel good. It's a little bit addictive. I really like the feeling of lifting someone up. And before you know it, you know, you're doing a kind thing like visiting with your elderly neighbor. And you know, every time you come home, he wants to chat with him for 5 minutes. And think about the good that you're doing, the good that you're able to generate with yourself and how cool that is. So just consider how cool it would be to feel like that after a week and think about that is one of the tools that you really have, not just the complimenting, but all, you know, like being polite, giving of yourself, being open, being funny, looking at the shit that happens to you and laughing at it and being like, well, that's great. I just spent 20 minutes making an episode, you know, and just laughing at yourself and laughing at life. It is a game changer when it comes to your perspective on how good life is. And then the last thing I'll say is gratitude. I have a lot to be grateful for. I have an amazing husband and I have healthy, awesome children. I have good friendships, but it wasn't always that way. I didn't always have all the things that I have. I think it's important to find gratitude whatever stage you're at. Maybe you're like, I'm broke. I am broke, but you know what? I'm young and I'm fun and have a good time. And it's not going to always be like this. Maybe you're not broke. Maybe you're older. I'm older. Does that mean your best days are past you? No. I'm older, but I still know how to have fun. I've got resources that I didn't used to have before. You know, maybe it's, I don't love my job. I don't love the job. Does that mean you burn the boats and like quit your job and then be like, I don't know what I'm going to do now? No. Be grateful for the fact that you have the opportunity to channel into who do you want to be in a year from now, and use your imagination, use that sparkle inside of you and just think about, oh yeah, in a year from now, if I start working on it right now, things could look a lot different. It's pretty exciting. So channeling into that sort of like gratitude, that imagination, that wide openness that we all have within us is an amazing, amazing tool. So anyway, I hope that this is helpful. I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.